I stood at my front door holding my daughter Sophie's hand. It was 4:15 on a Tuesday afternoon, what should have been an ordinary day. But two police officers stood at my door. "Claire Bennett?" "Yes, that's me," I answered, feeling uneasy. "We've received a report. You're under arrest on suspicion of kidnapping." My heart nearly stopped. I couldn't understand what they were saying. "What are you talking about? Sophie is my daughter," I screamed desperately. When I looked down at my daughter, Sophie said nothing, just stared at the ground. "Sophie. It's Mommy. Say something." My voice was shaking. But my daughter remained silent, her small body rigid. I was handcuffed right there. 20 minutes earlier, everything had been perfect. I had gone to pick up Sophie from daycare as usual. When I entered the classroom, Sophie saw me and came running. "Mommy." The moment she hugged me, I noticed her body was a bit stiff. I thought it might be my imagination. "What did you play today?" Drawing." Sophie's voice was small. Sophie's drawing was of our family. Daddy, Mommy, Sophie. But there were two mommies drawn. "Sophie, what's this?" I asked with a laugh. "There are two mommies. There's only one mommy." "Why did you draw two?" "Because." Sophie swallowed her words. "Never mind." The daycare teacher, Miss Carla, approached. Her expression was somewhat serious. "Mrs. Bennett, could we talk for a moment? I've been concerned about Sophie lately." Miss Carla lowered her voice. "She's been crying more during nap time. And she frequently says, 'I want to see Mommy.'" My chest ached. I'd been busy with work and coming home late recently. Maybe I was making my daughter feel lonely. And, Miss Carla hesitated. "Recently, there's been a woman watching Sophie from outside the daycare." "A woman?" "Yes. I've seen her several times. She doesn't do anything specific, but she just stares at Sophie." "Since when?" "About a month ago." Anxiety spread through my chest, but at the time I thought it might be someone's parent. "I'll keep an eye out," Miss Carla said. In the car, Sophie sat in her car's seat looking out the window. Usually she'd talk happily about what happened at daycare, but today she was quiet. "Sophie, what was fun today?" "Mommy," Sophie's voice was small. "What? Are you my real mommy?" I almost hit the brakes. "Of course. Why would you ask that?" Sophie stayed silent. "Did someone say something?" "A nice lady said so." My daughter's voice trembled. "A lady?" "At the park. She said, 'I'm your real mommy.'" The blood drained from my face. "When?" "I don't know. A few times." "Why didn't you tell me until now?" My voice got loud. "She said, 'It's a secret from Mommy.'" I pulled the car over to the shoulder. My hands were shaking. "Sophie, what did this person look like?" "Golden hair and a nice voice." "What did she say?" "She said, 'You were born from my belly. So I'm your real mommy.'" I could barely breathe. Ashley. The woman who had given birth to Sophie as a surrogate 6 years ago. Our contract with her was over. We'd paid $80,000 and she'd signed a contract relinquishing all rights. Why now? "Sophie, listen carefully. I'm your mommy. That person. How should I explain this? How do you tell a 6-year-old daughter about the complicated circumstances of surrogacy? That person helped you be born. But I'm your mommy. Daddy and I are raising you, right?" Sophie's eyes were filling with tears. "I don't understand." I tried to hug my daughter, but Sophie's body went rigid. When we arrived home, the police were waiting. "Claire Bennett. You're under arrest on suspicion of kidnapping." Everything collapsed. I was handcuffed. Sophie burst into tears. Mommy. It's okay, Sophie. This is a mistake. But one of the officers said, the person who filed the report claims you took this child from the hospital 6 years ago. I didn't do that. Sophie is my daughter. We had her through surrogacy. We'll need to discuss all of that at the station. The neighbor's door opened. People from the neighborhood were watching. My husband Michael came home from work. Claire. What's happening? Michael. Call a lawyer. I was put in the police vehicle. Sophie was left with a neighbor. My daughter's crying faded into the distance. It was like a nightmare. At 5 p.m., the interrogation room at the police station was cold and sterile. I sat in a metal chair with 2 detectives across from me. A young female detective and a veteran male detective. Mrs. Bennett, please stay calm and listen, said the female detective, Sarah Thompson. At 3 p.m. today, we received a report from a woman named Ashley Morgan. Just as I thought. She claims 6 years ago, my daughter was taken from the hospital. That child is your daughter, Sophie Bennett. That's not true. Sophie is my daughter. I shouted. Please explain. Detective Sarah held her pen ready. I took a deep breath. I had to stay calm. 6 years ago, I was infertile. I underwent treatment for 5 years but couldn't get pregnant. I desperately tried to keep my voice from shaking. We decided on surrogacy. Through a legal surrogacy agency, we contracted with Ashley Morgan. What were the terms of the contract? She would carry our fertilized embryo through IVF and give birth. The compensation was $80,000. After birth, all parental rights would transfer to my husband and me. Do you have the contract? Of course. It's at home. The male detective, James Harris, interjected. Ms. Morgan claims that contract is forged. Forged? That's impossible. I couldn't believe it. She says, I never agreed to surrogacy. Right after I gave birth at the hospital, my daughter was taken. My head was spinning. I couldn't understand what I was being told. That's a lie. Ashley understood everything. A lawyer was present when we signed the contract. What's that lawyer's name? Attorney David Chen. He specializes in surrogacy law. Detective Sarah took notes. Were you aware that Ms. Morgan had been in contact with your daughter this past month? I first heard about it from my daughter today. The daycare teacher also told me there was a suspicious woman. Why didn't you contact the police? I just found out today. I was about to cry. But I couldn't cry. I had to stay calm. Please listen to Ms. Morgan's statement. Detective Sarah placed a tablet in front of me. A recorded testimony began playing. Ashley was crying as she spoke. 6 years ago, I was an unmarried single mother. I had no money and gave birth at the hospital. Ashley on the screen was in tears. Right after delivery, a nurse took my baby away. They said it was for tests. But she never came back. A few hours later, a doctor came and told me the baby died from complications. But they wouldn't let me see the body. Grief-stricken, I left the hospital. For years afterward, I thought about my daughter. Then a month ago, I happened to see her at the park. My daughter. Ashley's voice was trembling. Her face looked just like mine. The birth date matched. When I looked into it, I learned that a woman named Claire Bennett claimed she had her through surrogacy. But I never agreed to surrogacy. My daughter was stolen. Ashley covered her face with both hands and broke down crying. It's an act. It must all be an act. But it's convincing. Too real. This is a lie, I said. Ashley contracted as a surrogate. She received $80,000. There are bank records. Ms. Morgan says that money was a donation received for a different purpose. A donation. I almost jumped out of my chair. She's lying. Then why is she coming forward now? Detective Harris asked. Money, I said clearly. She's trying to blackmail our family. At that moment, the door opened. My husband Michael came in with a lawyer. Claire. Michael hugged me. In my husband's arms, I finally felt a bit of relief. The lawyer was Richard Gray, a family law specialist and also our friend. Detectives, my client is innocent, Richard said firmly. I've brought the surrogacy contract, bank transfer records, and hospital records. Richard placed a thick file on the desk. If you look at these, it will be clear that Ms. Morgan's claims are false. Detective Sarah opened the file. She carefully examined each page. The contract. Ashley Morgan's signature. The witnessing attorney David Chen's signature. The bank transfer records. $80,000 from Claire Bennett to Ashley Morgan. Hospital records. Surrogate birth, carrier, Ashley Morgan, intended parents, Claire and Michael Bennett. Everything was there. It should have been perfect evidence. This is. Detective Sarah looked confused. Ms. Morgan claims this contract is forged. Please do a handwriting analysis, Richard said. If you compare it with Ashley Morgan's other documents, it will be clear the signature is from the same person. Detective Harris interrupted. Actually, there's another problem. What is it? Richard asked. Ms. Morgan has a lawyer. An attorney named David Chen. I froze. David Chen. That was the name of the lawyer who handled the surrogacy contract 6 years ago. He is now representing Ms. Morgan, claiming this contract is forged. My signature was also forged. Michael shouted. That's ridiculous. He created the contract. Attorney Chen says 6 years ago, I was handling a different case. I had nothing to do with this contract. I understood. Ashley and David Chen were conspiring together. They were both lying. But why? For what purpose? Richard said calmly, then examine his office records from 6 years ago, his calendar, contracts with other clients. You can prove he's lying. We'll investigate, Detective Sarah nodded. But it will take time. Let me see my daughter, I pleaded. Ask Sophie. I'm her mother. Detective Sarah hesitated. Sophie is currently in the temporary custody of Child Protective Services. Temporary custody. Given the suspicion of kidnapping, it's for her safety. You're saying I'm a kidnapper? My voice shook with tears. Richard placed his hand on my shoulder to stop me. Detective, at least allow a supervised visit. Detective Sarah left the room to consult with her supervisor. 10 long minutes passed. When she returned, she said, 15 minutes. That's all. We were taken to another room. It was past 7 p.m. Sophie sat in a small chair. A Child Protective Services worker was with her. Sophie. I tried to rush over but was stopped by the worker. Don't touch her. I sat in a chair 2 meters away. My daughter had never felt so far away. Sophie, it's Mommy. Are you okay? Sophie looked at me. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. Mommy, my daughter's voice was small. You were scared, weren't you? I'm sorry. But we'll be home soon. Mommy, Sophie was trembling. You know. What? The nice lady said. About Ashley. Sophie nodded. She said, you were born from my belly. So I'm your real mommy. Sophie, that's not right. It's true that she gave birth to you, but I'm your mommy. Daddy and I are raising you, right? But Sophie started crying. She said, when you were a baby, you were stolen. I really wanted to be with you always. That's a lie. I don't know. Sophie shouted. I don't know who my real mommy is. I felt like I was collapsing. My daughter, who I'd been with every day for 6 years. I'd soothed her crying at night, stayed up all night when she had a fever, cried when she took her first steps. All of it was crumbling from just 1 month of words. Sophie, trust mommy, I was desperate. But she showed me pictures. Pictures. Pictures of her with a big belly. She said, this is when you were in my belly. Ashley had prepared thoroughly. And hospital pictures too. She said, when you were born. Sophie took out a folded paper from her backpack. She gave me this. It was a copy of a birth certificate. Baby girl Morgan, mother, Ashley Morgan. The date was 6 years ago. The day Sophie was born. But the father's column was blank. And the baby's name wasn't Sophie. It said Lily Morgan. I realized. This is forged. It must be another baby's birth certificate with only the date changed. But a 6-year-old daughter wouldn't know that. To her, this looked like the truth. Time's up, the worker said. Sophie, wait. I shouted. Mommy loves you. I'll never give up. I'll bring you home. Sophie was led away crying. Mommy, my daughter's voice faded away. I sank to the floor. Michael supported me. We'll get her back, my husband said. We'll expose Ashley's lies. I nodded. The next morning, Wednesday. Thanks to Richard's efforts, I was released on bail. Bail was $50,000. But I couldn't see Sophie. By court order, no contact until the investigation was complete. I returned home, but Sophie's room felt empty. Pink curtains, stuffed animals lined up on the bed, my daughter's drawings on the wall. Everything was there, but Sophie wasn't. Michael took time off work to prepare to fight with me. First, let's find attorney David Chen. Michael spread out 6-year-old documents on the living room table. We have his contact information from 6 years ago. But the phone didn't connect. The number you have dialed is not in service. We went to the office. The place where we signed the contract 6 years ago. But the building housed a different company. David Chen. Never heard of him. We rented this office 2 years ago, the receptionist shook her head. The trail was disappearing. As if David Chen had never existed in the first place. Let's contact the State Bar Association, Richard suggested. A few hours later, we got a response. There is no attorney named David Chen registered with our State Bar Association. We were stunned. A fake lawyer? Michael said. It's possible. Or he's licensed in another state, Richard said cautiously. But the 6-year-old contract states, California attorney. Everything was falling apart. That afternoon, an envelope arrived at our home. No sender's name. Inside was a letter. Dear Claire, I don't hate you. You might be a victim too. But Lily is my daughter. Let's resolve this ourselves. Without involving police or courts. Pay me $300,000. Then I'll withdraw all my claims. You can have Sophie back. I can start a new life. This isn't extortion. It's compensation for giving up my daughter. Reply within 3 days. Ashley. Michael trembled with anger. This is clear extortion. Let's show it to the police. Wait, I said. We might be able to use this. We called attorney Richard. He read the letter and nodded. This is evidence. Proof that her motive is money. But Ashley will say, I didn't send it. It's forged, Michael said. So let's set a trap, Richard suggested. Send a reply, arrange to meet. Record the conversation. Is that legal? I asked. In California, recording a conversation requires consent from both parties. But conversations in public places can be legally recorded. Let's do it, I decided. That night, I wrote a reply. Ashley, I read your letter. I think we need to talk. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., bench at Central Park. We'll discuss everything, including the money. Claire. I mailed the letter. At the same time, Michael began his own investigation. Looking into Ashley Morgan's past. Social media, public records, news articles. And he found something. Claire, look at this, Michael turned his laptop toward me. A local newspaper article. 4 years ago. The headline read, Surrogacy Dispute, Couple Files Lawsuit. As I read the content, my heart pounded. A couple in Portland, Oregon, James and Linda Carter, filed a lawsuit over a contract dispute with a surrogate. The surrogate's name was Ashley Morgan. They paid $75,000 in contract fees, but after delivery, Ashley claimed, this is my child. The contract is void. The trial ended in settlement. Details undisclosed. Same name, I murmured. Likely the same person, Michael searched further. Another article. 3 years ago. Seattle, Washington. A couple, David and Emily Chong, settled a dispute with a surrogate. The surrogate's name wasn't listed, but the case details were strikingly similar. She's done this multiple times, I trembled. We're not the only ones. There must be more victims, Michael suggested hiring a private investigator. Tom Harrison. Former FBI agent. He's strong in cases like this. The next morning, we met Tom. 50s, sharp eyes, but a kind voice. I've heard the story. I'll help, Tom said firmly. Tom promised a preliminary investigation within 24 hours. Thursday, 2 p.m., Central Park. Michael and I sat on a bench. Attorney Richard sat on another bench nearby, remotely setting up recording devices. A small recorder was also in my bag. At 2:05 p.m., Ashley appeared. Blonde hair, sunglasses, but smiling. As if she were meeting a friend. Claire, Michael, Ashley sat down. I'm glad we could meet. I stayed calm. I'll ask directly. Why are you appearing now? Because I wanted to see my daughter, Ashley said sadly. You relinquished all rights 6 years ago. That contract is void. I was deceived. How were you deceived? Ashley said in a theatrical tone, Attorney David Chen told me, this is a temporary custody agreement. You can get your child back anytime. That's a lie. Can you prove it? Ashley laughed. David Chen is gone. He can't be contacted. Meaning you have no proof either. Michael interrupted. You wrote in your letter that if we pay $300,000, you'll give up. Yes. That's my condition, Ashley said without hesitation. That's extortion. It's not extortion. It's a deal, Ashley looked confident. I'm the real mother. If we fight legally, I'll win. But for Sophie's sake, I want to settle this peacefully. For Sophie's sake. I raised my voice. You brainwashed my daughter for a month. Telling her, I'm your real mommy. Confusing a 6-year-old child, and that's for Sophie's sake. I just told her the truth, Ashley said coldly. The truth? It's a lie. Prove it, Claire. Prove you're the real mother. I've raised her for 6 years. But I gave birth to her. Through surrogacy. Evidence? I was at a loss for words. We have the contract. But David Chen says it's forged. We have bank transfer records. But Ashley says it's a donation. Ashley stood up. $300,000 within 3 days. Otherwise, we'll fight in court. And I'll take Sophie. Ashley walked away. I was trembling. Anger, fear, and despair. But Michael squeezed my hand. We recorded it. This is evidence. But she might say it was a joke. It's okay. We'll gather more evidence. Richard approached. I heard from Private Investigator Tom. He found important information. What? Other victims. 5 couples were blackmailed by Ashley Morgan using the same method. I gasped. We can meet one of the victims tonight. Let's meet them, I decided. This isn't just my fight. Other families are suffering too. We have to stop Ashley. To get my daughter back. And so no one else suffers the same way. Thursday night, Attorney Richard's office. 3 couples had gathered. James and Linda Carter. 4 years ago, they contracted with Ashley as a surrogate and paid $75,000. After delivery, Ashley claimed, "This is my child. The contract is void." They paid an additional $200,000 in settlement. David and Emily Chong. 3 years ago, similar contract for $80,000. After delivery, same trouble. They paid $250,000 in settlement. Robert and Sarah Mitchell. 2 years ago, contract fee of $85,000. Currently in litigation. Ashley is demanding $280,000. All contracted through the same lawyer, David Chen. All were threatened by Ashley after delivery. All paid, or were being asked to pay, large sums in settlement. We were too ashamed to tell anyone, Linda said crying. But when we saw your news, we thought we couldn't stay silent anymore. I hugged her. Thank you. Let's fight together. Private Investigator Tom spread out materials. Ashley Morgan's real name is Ashley Davis. She has an arrest record for minor fraud from 10 years ago. David Chen is an alias. His real name is David Chen Wu. He's also on probation for fraud. The two are in a romantic relationship. They systematically conduct surrogacy fraud. The method is the same. Contract as a surrogate, claim the contract is void, after delivery, demand high settlement amounts. Total damages are estimated at over $1,200,000. Everyone gasped. Now that Claire's case has become public, the FBI has started moving. FBI. I was surprised. Federal fraud. Fraud across multiple states is a federal crime. Tom continued. FBI agent Lisa Martinez wants to meet with you all tomorrow. Friday morning, FBI field office. Agent Lisa Martinez was in her 40s, sharp-eyed but warm in demeanor. Thank you all for gathering. In the conference room were my husband and I, the other 3 victim couples, Attorney Richard, and Private Investigator Tom. The FBI has been pursuing Ashley Davis and David Chen Wu for 6 months, Lisa explained. They surfaced in another case. They use multiple methods beyond surrogacy fraud, adoption fraud, pregnancy fraud, and more. Total damages are estimated at over $2 million. On the screen appeared Ashley's photo. Multiple aliases. Ashley Morgan, Ashley Davis, Ashley Chen, Amanda Morgan. Over the past 10 years, she has entered at least 8 surrogacy contracts. Of those, she extorted money after 5 deliveries. In 3 cases, she never even got pregnant, just took the money and disappeared. I trembled. We were just one of many victims. We are. You are victims, Lisa said decisively. And now, this is our chance to stop them. What do we need to do? Cooperate with a sting operation. The plan was simple. I would contact Ashley saying, I'll pay the $300,000. Friday night, at a designated location, I'd hand over cash. We'd record that moment and arrest them. Friday afternoon, I called Ashley with shaking hands. Ashley. It's Claire. Have you decided? Ashley's voice was cold. I'll pay. $300,000. Smart choice. But I have a condition. What? Tonight, I'll give it to you in cash. On the spot, you'll sign a contract. A contract relinquishing parental rights to Sophie. Fine. Where? West Side, Warehouse District. 8 p.m. Ashley gave me the address. An unpopulated area. After hanging up, Lisa said, perfect. She's cautious, so she chose an unpopulated place. But that will backfire. The FBI team began preparations. Hidden cameras, listening devices, snipers. A transmitter in my bag. If you feel any danger, signal immediately, Lisa said. Understood. 8 p.m., Warehouse District. I stood at the designated location holding a bag of cash. Michael was with me. In the distance, 3 FBI vans were monitoring. Ashley appeared. She wasn't alone. A man was with her. David Chen. The fake lawyer. Claire, the money? Ashley asked. Here, I showed the bag. The contract. Ashley took out a paper. Parental rights relinquishment contract. Sign this and Sophie is yours. I read the contract. Suddenly, I noticed something odd. This has Sophie's name wrong. What? It says, Lily Morgan. My daughter's name is Sophie Bennett. Ashley looked flustered for a moment. It's a typo. No, I said clearly. You've been lying from the start. What are you? Sophie isn't your daughter. The baby you gave birth to was a different baby, Lily. But that child really did die from complications. Shut up. You contracted as a surrogate and gave birth to my daughter. But then you blackmailed us with the lie of getting back your dead daughter. Ashley's face contorted. Evidence? It's about to appear, I signaled. FBI agents burst out. FBI. Don't move. Ashley tried to run but was immediately subdued. David Chen-Wu was also arrested. Ashley Davis, David Chen-Wu, you're under arrest for federal fraud and extortion, Lisa read the charges. Ashley screamed. This is a trap. I'm the victim. You have the right to remain silent. Ashley was taken away. I sank to the ground. It was over. Michael hugged me. You did well. I cried. Relief, exhaustion, and anxiety about the fight that wasn't over yet. But this was a big step. The next morning, at the FBI office, the full scope became clear. The FBI seized Ashley's bank accounts. 8 years of deposit records. Settlement money from each victim. A total of $1,245,000. Furthermore, from David's laptop, a victim list, contract templates, financial investigation records for each family, a list of next target candidates. Our names were on the list. And below that, Target 9, Jennifer and Robert Cole, California. Contract fee $90,000. Extortion amount $350,000. The next victim after us had already been selected. The FBI immediately contacted the Coles. They were still pregnant. Due date in 2 months. We were in time. During the investigation, Ashley's sad past was also revealed. Ashley really had lost Lily. It was David who exploited that grief. David brainwashed Ashley, telling her, if you make money, you can become a mother again through surrogacy. But in reality, David controlled all the money, and Ashley received almost none of it. In a way, Ashley was also a victim. 3 months later, federal court. David Chinwoo was found guilty of federal fraud, extortion, and perjury. 20-year sentence, no parole. Ashley Davis was found guilty of federal fraud, extortion, and psychological abuse of a child. 12-year sentence. It was reduced based on psychiatric evaluation. All victim families filed for damages. $3,500,000 total. The seized fraud funds were distributed. Each family didn't recover the full amount but received a portion. And the day after the sentencing, the day came to bring Sophie home. I went to pick her up at the Child Protective Services facility. The door opened. Sophie was standing there. She seemed a bit thinner. But her eyes were shining. "Mommy." Sophie came running. I knelt down and hugged my daughter. "I'm home, Sophie." "Welcome home, Mommy." Sophie was crying. I was crying too. "I'm sorry. You were scared, weren't you?" "No. I believed Mommy would definitely save me." Michael joined the hug. The three of us together, finally. In the car, Sophie said, "Mommy, what about Miss Ashley? You won't see her again." I feel a little sorry for her. I was surprised. Why? Because her real baby died and she was sad, right? My 6-year-old daughter was pitying the perpetrator. That's right. Maybe Miss Ashley went down the wrong path because of her grief. But you know, Sophie. What? Even when sad things happen, that's not a reason to hurt other people. Sophie nodded. Mommy didn't hurt me. You protected me. Of course. Because Mommy loves you. I love you too, Mommy. Most in the world. I couldn't stop crying. 1 month later, a gathering of victim families. Barbecue at James and Linda Carter's home. All the victim families gathered. The children too. Sophie was playing with the other children. Laughter echoed. Linda said to me, "Thanks to you, we got justice." I couldn't have done it alone. It was because everyone cooperated. Let's continue supporting each other. We decided to establish the Surrogacy Fraud Victim Support Network, an organization to support surrogacy fraud victims and conduct awareness activities. Similar damage has been reported in other states. We share our experience to protect other families. 6 months later, Sophie turned 7. School was going well. She continued therapy. One day, Sophie asked a question. "Mommy, how was I born?" I'd been prepared for this. I knew this question would come someday. "Sophie, sit down. We need to have an important talk." In the living room, Sophie, Michael, and I sat together. "Mommy and Daddy wanted you so much. But babies couldn't grow in Mommy's belly. So a kind woman helped us. Miss Ashley." "Yes. Miss Ashley helped give birth to you. But it was decided from the beginning that Mommy and Daddy would raise you. So Miss Ashley isn't my mommy. There are different kinds of mommies. There's a mommy who gave birth to you. There's a mommy who raised you. Miss Ashley was an important person who helped give birth to you. But I'm your mommy. Daddy and I love you and raise you every day." Sophie was thinking. I understand. Then I want to say thank you to Miss Ashley. Thank you for giving birth to me. I almost cried. Someday, when you're grown up, we'll write a letter. Okay, Sophie smiled. But Mommy is my mommy now. We'll always be together, right? Of course. Always together. 1 year later, summer. We rented a beach house for vacation. Sophie was collecting seashells on the beach. Mommy, look. A pretty shell. It's lovely. Michael was reading a book in a beach chair. I watched them both. A year ago, everything nearly collapsed. I thought my daughter would be taken away. But now, here we are. As a family. At sunset, Sophie said, Mommy, what is family? Another difficult question. But now I could answer it. Family isn't about being connected by blood. It's people who are together, love each other, and support each other. People who are together when we laugh and when we cry. Sophie nodded. So we're family. Yes. The strongest family in the world. Sophie hugged me. I love you, Mommy. I love you too, Sophie. Michael joined us. The three of us embraced. The sound of ocean waves could be heard. The wind blew gently. What is a real family? It's not blood ties. It's not legal documents. It's time spent together. Difficulties overcome together. Unconditional love. That's family. And we are family. We're not afraid of any trial anymore. We can overcome it together. A new morning comes. With hope.